Today I'm going to tell you a story. Actually, it's 3 stories about 3 mayors in 3 different cities. And since I'm in Vancouver right now, this is where we're going to start. Hey everyone, I'm Tom and this is Shifter, a channel about urban cycling and bike commuting. Thanks to all of you new subscribers, and if you like this video, please consider subscribing. This story is about a guy named Gregor Robertson. For 10 years, he was the mayor of Vancouver back in the 2010s, and he did a lot of things. He swore into a live microphone, he oversaw the design of a logo that everybody hated, and he built this bike lane. And not just this one, but a lot of other ones too, and it wasn't easy at the time. There seemed to be a lot of opposition in the media and from business groups. But you know what? He did it anyway. So when Robertson decided not to run for re-election in 2018, you'd think it would be the perfect time for new candidates to distance themselves from bike lanes and stop all this nonsense that was so unpopular, right? Yeah, it didn't work that way. Of the top candidates that election campaign, only one was anti-bike, and she finished 4th. All the other top candidates were either very pro-bike or at least bike neutral. It's almost like those candidates realized that maybe people like when mayors make cities more livable. The next mayor in our story is one you've probably heard of, Anne Hidalgo, the mayor of Paris. So when she was elected a number of years ago, she undertook this really ambitious plan of transforming the city. She pedestrianized areas, she brought cycling into new areas, she closed some streets to motor vehicles. And Paris is a much different city now than it was before she got elected. But those changes were not easy. The media and the pundit class were opposed, and when it came time for her to run for re-election, there was some expectation that she would suffer from a backlash against these ideas. But no, she won again, and this time she has an even more ambitious plan, $175 million to keep pushing cycling and pedestrianism in one of the great cities of the world. Okay, one more. I think you know where I'm going here. This is about Montreal Mayor Valérie Plante. She oversaw a hugely ambitious plan to construct something like 50 kilometers of bike lanes in 1 year in Montreal, what was already the most bike-friendly city in North America. And when it came time for her re-election, the pundits and the tweeters were out again saying there's no way she's going to win because everybody hates bike lanes. She was even running against a former mayor who was very well known and was saying that she went too far. But you know how this ends. She won again, and she is continuing to try to make Montreal more bike and pedestrian friendly. Okay, so what's happening here? Why does this keep happening? Well, I'm not one of those media conspiracy theorists who thinks that a cabal of automakers and suburban home developers is out there buying off newspaper columnists and that sort of thing. But what I do think is that maybe the pundit class has miscalculated on this one. I think columnists and the tweeters and lots of politicians too feel like they want to align themselves with what they think is mainstream values, which in this case is often suburban values. The values of the people who live out in the suburbs and drive into the city. I hate to say this, but probably those boomer values. But I think they failed to consider the opinions of those who actually live in cities. Here's how it was put by the mayor of Milan, also a bike-loving mayor. He said, quote, "It's easy to argue about parking, but it's difficult to dispute a new city space filled with people and with signs of life, commerce, and a sustainable purpose where there was nothing before." Now, I'm not denying that there are some suburban drivers out there who don't like bike lanes, but I don't think they're as numerous as a lot of people think they are. And I also think that it's not a stretch to think that there are some suburban drivers out there who see what happens in cities, that putting bike lanes in makes them better, more livable, transportation's more efficient, it gets people out on a bike and healthier, and they think that's not such a bad idea, even if they have to give up a few parking spaces to get there. Yes, there probably still is a suburban-urban divide on this sort of thing, which is unfortunate. But it'll be interesting to see in the future what happens as our living and working patterns have changed because of the pandemic, and as more cities get better at reaching their bike plans out into the suburbs to accommodate everyone in a city. So being here in Vancouver and seeing how much progress it's made in making this place better for cyclists and pedestrians and humans in general, and to see how normalized it's become to make the city more livable even years after Gregor Robertson left office, maybe it's time to change our messaging. Maybe instead of me urging politicians to do the courageous thing and build bike lanes despite the opposition, maybe it's time for all of us to say to politicians, don't build bike lanes because they're hard, build them because they're easy. That's what people want. Thanks for watching. See you next time.